Hey everybody, welcome back to the Honey and Absinthe channel. We are your hosts. I'm Vincent, a background designer for animation.
And I'm Janet, the ex-Disney artist turned independent creator, and today I am doing a Demon Slayer commission.
Yeah.
I was commissioned this over on our website, honeyandabsinthe.com.
Thank you so much.
So check it out if you want your own commission, and let's get started.
Alright.
Alright, so here we have the drawing pretty much halfway done. I think I forgot to record the initial mannequin. Plus, I'm not all that comfortable showing that process. I don't know if you guys want to see that process.
It's a lot of trial and error, right?
Yeah, so let us know in the comments if that's something you guys like seeing. And right now, Tanjiro. I'm drawing Nezuko and Tanjiro in this one.
Nezuko!
And it was the commissioner asked me to draw him being very brotherly towards Nezuko, and I'm basically just adding in his costuming. So what happens after I do the initial mannequin is I'm double checking to make sure all the anatomy is correct before I go in with the costume.
And when you're drawing the costuming on top of that mannequin, you're making sure that the drapery and all that stuff drapes over the forms and things.
I have a tendency when I'm rushing a little bit to flatten everything out, and it comes from like my background drawing anime too. It's just I have a hard time wrapping clothes around form, so I like to make sure in this step to really pay attention to that.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like usually in anime, even in manga, it's just flat.
Yeah.
The cuffs and like, you know, a lot of the
It's
clothing.
not very dimensional. Like when the belt wraps around, the cloth doesn't hang over the belt.
It's all just like flat, straight lines, no
So I'm
curves.
trying to make sure I draw more dimensionally as I learn and do this kind of thing.
Cool. And what are you doing here? You're adding a frame?
Yeah, so what I've been liking to do recently is to add a little bit of a frame for these pieces. I think it makes it look more finished and professional once it's all done. If I were doing this not as a commission, as like a illustration that's going to be reproduced or something like that, I would probably tape off the edges.
Yeah.
But since it's just a commission, it's fine to, I just freehand it.
Yeah, I like the hand done look too. And now you're getting into the inking over here.
Yeah.
What are you using, a rosemary brush?
Yes, I'm using a Rosemary #1, one of our favorite brushes.
It's so nice.
It really is. And I'm going in and I'm inking very delicately.
Very delicately.
Very carefully.
Very carefully.
Because especially with a feminine character, if the line is off even just a little bit, it can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Which is why when I'm inking digitally, it actually takes me a long time to get the perfect line.
Because you're designing the line digitally. You're kind of even scrubbing in where it kind of gets fat and when it gets skinny and tapers out.
For women, it's particularly important. Even like a little bit, like almost, you might not even be able to see it visually, but if the line is just slightly out of place, it just won't look right.
I see. And her little demon fingers.
Yeah.
Demon meat hooks.
I almost drew them like normal fingers.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So close.
I would have had to white out and redo the hands if I forgot. But always remember, Nezuko has demon hands because she's a demon.
Yeah.
And I'm going in to her costuming and making sure, you know, the first time I drew Nezuko, this is actually my second time doing Nezuko. I spent a lot of time texturing her kimono.
Right.
Her
It's wild. It has all sorts of, you know, triangles all over the place in her kimono, right?
Yeah, I spent a little bit too much time trying to make it exactly the pattern that it is in the manga and the anime, but I wouldn't recommend you do that because I think the artist probably has something like a screen tone where they just like
stamp it on.
Yeah.
I see.
And I spent so long on it and it didn't really make a difference at the end.
Oh, I see. So you're loosely doing it now.
Yeah, so now I'm going in and I'm loosely doing it just to get like the general feel of the pattern.
And also the pattern isn't so in your face too.
Yeah, I made sure to break it up a little bit so it's a little bit more interesting. It honestly, I don't know, it might have paid off in the end if I really went to town on the pattern and made sure it was perfect. But, you know, it saves time and it looks decent to me in the end.
Nice. Now, was your inking technique a little different? I feel like at this point when you're doing this dude, you're so much more warm. Look at how confidently you did his hair compared to, you know, her.
Well, curly, wavy hair is scary for me because you really have to just have long, loose lines and you have to be so confident. Otherwise, you might mess up or it'll look too wobbly. So with Nezuko's hair, it was a struggle. When I'm super, super warm, it's not so difficult, but I still sometimes hold my breath a little bit.
I have to too. I just have to be that still, you know?
Yeah, but with shorter strokes, shorter lines, it's a lot easier for me. So with Tanjiro's hair, it was a lot easier, and I don't know what it is. I'm a lot more confident hatching and adding texture to boys/men.
It's you can get away with it more. I feel like if you do it on women, they kind of look wrinkly.
Yeah,
you know? You lose the appeal.
Bit, less attractive. But I mean, I think my initial gut instinct for Tanjiro, I aged him up. Obviously, he doesn't look exactly
really
like
little like he does in the manga.
And my goal was to make him really handsome and pretty boy looking.
I can see.
Yeah. So in a way, I mean, you don't necessarily have to be as careful with men and boys as you do with girls, which is kind of a relief for me recently because with girls you just have to be so precise, but with boys it's a little bit, it's gotten easier for me, and I didn't always feel that way. It used to be kind of a struggle for me.
You would tell me you would have a hard time drawing boys. Yeah, and now you're filling out Nezuko's hair, designing the darks and the lights at the same time. Her hair. Oh, it's already looking so juicy.
Her dark hair is one of my favorite things to do because I get to design the highlights. And again, I don't know if you guys have watched the other videos. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't what I'm doing. I'm mostly just designing shapes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how could you just kind of not make it look as cool as possible? You know, even though the lighting is all over the place.
I try to make it give this like really slick look to the hair. It's one of my favorite things to ink because, as you can see, once I'm done inking the dark shapes for the hair, she really starts to pop. Yeah. Because now it's competing with the highlights of the of kind of like the sweater thing that she has on. Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure I do in this one, and that I didn't do in the first Nezuko drawing that I did, was the first one, I just kind of made her cloak all black. But here I really wanted to make sure I designed the dark and shadow shapes, even though her cloak is black. Right. Yeah. And I think it gives it more interest for the eye to dance around the image. Yeah. And I like how, like, even though the hair is competing with the little sweater thing, I know you're gonna add like tone to the sweater, which makes the hair come forward. Yeah. Dope. And look at the patterns over here. Yeah, I do the same thing with Tanjiro too. And again, I'm adding a lot more texture and a lot more lines to the way I'm inking him, and I'm a lot looser. Yeah, so there you go. That's an example of me toning in the things that are actually black, like his costume. Even though it is black, it doesn't have to read completely as black. Yeah, I feel like manga artists do this too. They would ink in something, leave in highlights, and then put screen tone on top. Yeah, to I love make that it look. A solid silhouette. Yeah, we actually have a lot of screen tone, but we don't like to use it too often because it's expensive. It's expensive, and it slows the whole process down. Yeah, it's pretty time consuming. Yeah, it's a beautiful look though. I always love the way it looks. So here, I'm adding color with watercolor, and sometimes a mix of gouache. And yeah, it's I because I don't want to go like full on like this is a watercolor painting. I try to design it with as limited as I can. So instead of like really rendering out her face, which I could do, instead I just leave the white of the paper to show the white of her skin, or not white of the highlights of her skin.
Right. You're letting the paper breathe more. Yeah. You know, and now you're adding some little highlights. Yeah. Nice.
And using some color pencils to add some more heft to the watercolor.
Oh man, this is really coming together already. Look at that. I really like the whole watercolor with color pencil thing.
It's an interesting look.
Yeah. It reminds me of manga covers.
Yeah. You know? I like it. It gives it a more like homey, hand-done look.
Yeah.
And it's something that like when translating these into prints, I think it gives it a nice like textural touch too. Because eventually I'll probably turn these into prints, the ones that I like the most. And I like to figure out really creative ways to keep the traditional quality of these things.
That way it feels like a mixed media digital thing. Yeah, that's really great.
So now I'm going in and I'm doing the background. And I was really inspired by, we watched the show a little bit, and we saw that there's some really neat graphic patterning that the show likes to use.
Yeah, if you haven't watched this Demon Slayer show yet, I highly recommend it if you love art, because it's a beautiful show.
It's beautiful. Yeah. And I went in and just quickly put in the gold, and the flower shapes, they're not random actually. Nezuko has her flowers and Tanjiro has his flowers. So I actually designed the shapes of the flowers to be a mix of both.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I'm carefully inking around the gold that I already laid down to really make... The thing about this gold palette that I really like is that the pigment is really potent, but it just doesn't quite work very well on white. You need some kind of color behind it, and I've noticed black works the best.
Yeah, it really makes it pop, right?
Yeah.
Oh, looks so great. And you're leaving a little bit of white in between the black and the gold.
Yeah, because I'm going to be cleaning it up and inking it to the proper shape. Because I'm using a pretty fat brush right now.
Oh, you're just filling in stuff. You're not being precise or anything.
Because then I'm gonna go in and like add the line work to the gold. Actually, which I was scared wouldn't be possible. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to ink on top of the gold, which you can. I figured out you can. Going in with a smaller brush, and I'm really fine-tuning the edges and adding little details to these flowers and stuff.
Nice. Wow, look at that. Everybody, look at that.
Yeah.
My girlfriend did that. That's so dope.
I think the commissioner really liked it.
Yeah? What did they say?
They seemed really happy because I think they got another one.
Oh, nice. Well, that's how you know.
Yeah.
They really liked it. It's beautiful and shiny.
Yes. And can't forget the signature.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, probably forgot some like black areas at the end there.
Done. Your eyes, cross your T's. If you really like that, please do us a favor and jingle, touch, flick our bells and buttons over there, and leave a comment down below for who you'd like to see Janet draw next.
If you want to get your own original ink commission, head over to honeyandabsinthe.com. We also have merch. I am wearing the fight shirt today. It supports this channel. All the materials will be linked down below, and if you end up buying something, again, it supports this channel at no extra cost to you.
And follow us on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, wherever you can find us.
And don't forget to dare to dream.